one thing I want to ask you about the filmmaking, because Michael Moore, I think, is kind of the one of the most famous filmmakers, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Indie filmmakers, I would say.
Maybe 10 years ago you could say he was like huge, huge.
Well, his
Indy
name.
now
Well,
has a Indy now has a different name in the film industry than it did 10 years ago. But go ahead.
fair enough. But as far as in these streets, Michael Moore name holds the weight. All right.
Michael
Uh,
Moore holds the weight.
yeah. I want to ask you before previously. I asked you, did you think that the affordability of the equipment makes it easier to become a filmmaker? You have said, "Oh yeah," because you can buy more equipment. You can do more for yourself. I want to ask you though, post uh, 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 Michael Moore, is the market kind of oversaturated? So because it's easier to get into the field because the
Yeah.
equipment is more affordable, now you have more people doing it. So I would push back on you, Miguel, and say it's probably harder to be a filmmaker now. It might be easier to start and to get your equipment, but as far as getting recognized, getting your work out there, if the ocean is filled with filmmakers, then isn't it harder to separate yourself from the pack?
Well, I think those are two separate questions. You asked me before, is it easy to become a filmmaker because of the resources? Let me tell you something, and I tell this to everyone. The only way to become a filmmaker is to make film. I don't care if you shot it on
Mm.
your phone. If you make a film, you're a filmmaker. If you stop making film, I can't consider you a filmmaker anymore because you stopped making film. As long as you make it, whether it's shit or not, you're technically a filmmaker. Now, is it easy to be recognized as a as in continuous high quality filmmaker? Absolutely not, bro. It's difficult. It's difficult for people. It's difficult for you to sit there and spend 16 days creating something. You spend
Mm.
16 days shooting shooting something, then you spend 2 months editing it. Now you have a project. Now you yourself has a project, and where you're like, hey, where do I distribute this at? Well, you can't afford a movie theater because your project's a short film and it's not. You don't have the resources to get yourself into a movie theater. So well, then where do you put it? You put it on YouTube. You put it on Vimeo, or maybe you even put it on Instagram, depending on how long the content is. Now, how do you get people to watch that? You're a person who has 200 followers on Instagram. You follow about 600 people. You get an average of 25 likes per post on Instagram. So now you release it on Instagram. Who saw it? The same 25 people who liked your post before. But if I'm, let's say that's the third time I do that, right? Let's say that's my third film. Here comes social media influencer A, who has 50,000 people. They do a 1 minute to 2 minute piece that they spent a day on, that they spent 2 days editing. Then they release it. And what did that just get? That just got them 350,000 views.
Very frustrating.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous in a way, but it's the name of the game. You know,
So what tips would
it's a
you give somebody?
puzzle. It's a puzzle.
So what tips would you give somebody? Right. Let's say somebody listening, they want to get into filmmaking. What
Yeah.
so what would you tell them to do in order to like they both the equipment, they already have recorded, 3, 4 films. What tips would you give them regarding promotion, like getting eyeballs on the film?
I think you have to break down what your film is first and foremost. Is it a calling card to you? Meaning, does it show your credibility as a filmmaker? Does it show your creativity? Does it show like what you can handle? Or is it an idea that you think should be out there? If you break it down into those two categories, then from there, I think you can work your promotion a little bit more. To me, the calling card is what should be up on social media. The creative ideas is what should enter the film festival route, or the pitching to networks, or sending it to blogs or something like that. Because those are the things that people want to invest in, are the ideas. They want to invest in you as a calling card, but not everyone. You're not going to be everyone's taste. What you can do here is let the world know who you are as a filmmaker. Like, oh, I'm Miguel Ortiz. I'm a filmmaker. This is what I did. It's called Bodega Nights. Here, great. Oh, look, I know he makes films because I see a film that he made. Da 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 da. I'm spreading it around. It's getting more views. I'm getting more followers. I'm building that up. That's on this side. On this other side, though, you have to keep working. You have to keep building, and you have to enter into film festival. This is where I spent money entering into, let's say, 20 film festivals. I only got into 4. I
You
submitted to
pay? Wait,
20.
you pay for that?
You have to pay for that.
How much you pay?
I don't like to spend more between $50 and $70. So I love when I catch it for like 30, 45 to enter a film festival. But once I see it beyond that 75 mark, I'm like, because these are all investments and not all of them work out.
Wait, so
They
how
don't
many
always work
films
out.
usually get submitted on average?
Oh, I wouldn't know because I've never actually been like I forget the word that they exactly use, but someone who watches the films at a film festival. But you always get that email where it was like, this year we've had so many submissions. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
you didn't make it. Like that's as soon as I see that, hey Miguel Ortiz, I know I didn't make it. Cause if you got in, it's congratulations. Da 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 da. So it's tough. It's tough. Don't get me wrong, bro. I at one point I had 3 things I was submitting to film festivals. That's a lot of money being spent, and that's a lot of no's I was getting back. It
That
was
is
like 3 different
incredible.
things.
See, I had no
Yeah.
idea people were paying to submit the films.
So let me explain something. Film is not cheap at all.
It
Which
sounds
is why I'm
expensive as hell.
happy. No, it's expensive to get the right people together to make something. Most of the time, you're asking people to do it for free, but they're asking for their lunch to be covered because you're working all day long. If you're working all day long, that means you're not making money. So those are things that you have to think about as well. Then like there's things within the film that cost money. If you're like, oh, this person needs this production designer, this clothing, or anything like that, you have to put money towards that and get that. Uh, then there's the whole editing suites and softwares, and if you don't know how to do something, you have to pay someone to do it. Then you go ahead and you submit it to film festivals, and then costs so much money. And then if you only get 2, think about it, you spend $50 each film festival, and let's say you submit to 10, but then you only get 2 acceptance. Now you're sitting there like you only get your $50 back if you get in, technically, right? Like you don't get the money physically back. But I'm saying the benefits of it.
You
You get it
you get
by
what you
by
pay for.
entering. You get what you pay for by
Yeah.
entering. But like, you're hoping that someone looks at your content there and says, "Oh, I want to invest in this person," or "How do I get more from this person?" If nothing like that happens, then you spend $50 for people to watch your stuff, and you could have spent $0 for people to watch your stuff on YouTube. If that
That
if
sounds
that goes into it.
aggravating. See, I had no idea this was going on. Do you think so? If I had to sit back and be objective, I'm assuming the reason why they charge people to submit films is because it probably costs a lot of money to put on these festivals. You need security,
Yeah.
you need to pay for a venue.
I mean, now that it's all virtually, I don't understand why it's costing so much. Gotta be honest with you.
Miguel's calling bullshit. He's like bullshit,
Yeah, one more time, because I'm like,
bullshit.
because I remember a festival. A festival was like, hey, $55, 2019. That was a bet. This year, the last year, the festival was like, hey, $55. I was like, well, I'm playing. You're playing this back on a computer. Wait, woo. If anything, it's like even less crews, less people you have to pay. There's no venue. How is this? How are you still doing this?
This is like the people
So
paying full price tuition when school's online. I would never pay a full
I would never.
tuition year
I would. I
for a
would.
Zoom school. You lost your mind.
Jabaya, I would never, ever, ever, ever in my life do that. I don't know who's doing this.
I don't know either. That sounds
I
like a
don't know
sucker
this.
to me, paying all that money for Zoom school.
For Zoom. For Zoom,
Insane.
you could just go on Clubhouse and
Yo,